Harder They Fall was a surprise movie that came out near the end of last year in October. It was many of Netflix's random projects that they were pumping out hoping they would land. It was definitely one of those movies that Netflix threw at the wall and was praying it would stick. And let me tell you, it stuck. I was so shocked at how good and well executed this movie was. I guess you could say I was pleasantly surprised. From the soundtrack to the writing to the performances, this movie is pretty good. I think its biggest downside, though, is the pacing. Pacing issues in The Harder They Fall isn't so much a huge problem that it ruins the movie. I just think that the second act drags out a wee bit longer than it should. But other than that, this movie is solid. Every character is unique and has their own personality, their own set of qualities. They all bring something to the table. Each character in each gang is, for the most part, pretty likable. The only character I'm not really a fan of is Regina King's Trudy Smith. She feels like she's there because she is a strong, independent black woman. But even then, she's not that bad, and even has her moments. My favorites from the Rufus Buck gang are obviously Idris Elba's Rufus Buck, but the one who really stood out to me was Cherokee Bill, played by Lakeith Stanfield. He is so refreshing, and a step back from the honorable and by the code of the West cowboy antagonist. My favorite from the Nat Love gang is Nat Love himself. Jonathan Majors is such a good protagonist. But what this movie really does well is what it teaches us, the audience, about revenge. Revenge in westerns is not something new. We've seen countless entries in this genre using the revenge archetype. And I can't lie, it's a bit of a cliche, but what The Harder They Fall does is really nothing. I mean, if you think about it, we've seen this type of revenge story before. Man kills father, son seeks to kill the man that killed his father. But it's not necessarily what they do, but how they do it. So without wasting any more time, let's take a look at what The Harder They Fall teaches us about revenge. So first, let's take a look at the concept of revenge. What it really means in its most basic terms is someone does something you don't like murder a loved one or stealing from you, and then you go out of your way to get payback. But revenge in its true essence is selfish. Revenge is a desire, a natural desire based in human nature. Revenge is not the same thing as justice. Justice, or to get justice, is to make the evil doing morally equal. So for example, when someone commits a crime, the person that committed said crime receives a punishment equal to that crime. But revenge plays out differently. To get revenge is to make the other person feel similar or worse than what you felt. But one could say that is justice, except for one caveat. You're not just trying to get the other person that wronged you to feel how you felt, you're doing it so that you will feel better. Hence, why revenge is a selfish desire, and why it is wrong to seek revenge. You've probably heard the spoken expression, revenge is a fool's game. If you plan on going down that path, then prepare to dig 2 graves. At the end of The Harder They Fall, Rufus Buck reveals to us that he and Nat Love shared the same father, making him and Nathaniel half-brothers. Rufus also tells Nat the reason that he murdered their father was because he was abusive to him and his mother. Rufus sought revenge against his dad. So when he found him with a new family, but this time being a great husband and father, Rufus knew that just killing his dad wouldn't be enough, and this is where the movie reinvents the revenge cliche. So instead of just killing the father, he kills the mother as well, and leaves the son alive. That son being Nat Love. And thus we get to the core of this story. The reason Rufus kept Nat Love alive was so that he becomes worse than Rufus himself. And it's clear to us that that was Rufus Buck's true revenge against his father. But what confirmed Rufus's manifestation is when Nat Love pulls the trigger on Rufus. Rufus tells Nat that if he takes his revenge on him, then he is going to surpass him, because I guess he could never kill his own brother. Although I feel that's debatable, we'll just have to take his word for it. In the end, after Nat Love takes his revenge, Mary asks if the devil is dead. To which Nat says, I don't know. The problem with grudges, holding resentment towards someone, and wanting to get revenge is that all you are doing is poisoning yourself. You end up not focusing on the present moment, not fulfilling and chasing your purpose. As soon as you go down the path of revenge, revenge becomes your purpose. And even when you get that revenge, you won't feel any better, and you will more than likely go down with it. Revenge is a slippery slope to go down. So I suggest the alternative, and it's harder to do than revenge, because you are fighting against your human nature, your human desire, and that is to forgive and forget. Most people, what they do is forgive, but not forget.
I'll forgive, but I'll never forget.
But the problem with that is you're not really forgiving. You're just saying that you are. If we don't consciously forget and move on, then we are still living in the past. But if you can't forget about things you feel were wrong to you, then you hold resentment and animosity. And both are destructive to not only you, but the people around you. What will help you avoid that is forgiving and forgetting. But this is a skill that you have to level up. A good way to practice this is to forgive and forget little things. That will be like, it will give you like 5 XP in the forgive and forget column. Another way that helps is meditation. Forgiving and forgetting through meditation just amplifies this skill. Rufus Buck gave in to revenge, and so did Nat Love, and all it did was create chaos. Imagine what kind of pain and turmoil that could have been avoided if either of them forgave and forgot. So I implore you to break the cycle of revenge and resentment. Be grateful that that person did what they did to you, and forgive them and forget and move on. Resentment and animosity will not help you in the long run. So I ask you to break that cycle and move on.